Chapter 3. A prayer of Habakkuk the prophet upon Shigionoth. O Lord, I have heard the report of you, and am afraid. O Lord, revive your work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years, make it known. In wrath, remember compassion. God cometh from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Selah. His glory covereth the heavens, and the earth is full of his praise. And a brightness appears as the light rays, hath he at his side, and there is the hiding of his power. Before him goeth the pestilence, and the fiery bolts go forth at his feet. He standeth and shaketh the earth. He beholdeth and maketh the nations to tremble, and the everlasting mountains are dashed in pieces. The ancient hills do bow. His goings are as of old. I see the tents of Cushan in affliction. The curtains of the land of Midian do tremble. Is it, O Lord, that against the rivers, is it that your anger is kindled against the rivers, or your wrath against the sea, that you didst ride upon your horses, upon your chariots of victory? Your bow is made quite bare, sworn are the rods of the word. Selah. You dost cleave the earth with rivers. The mountains have seen you, and they tremble. The tempest of waters floweth over. The deep uttereth its voice, and lifteth up its hands on high. The sun and the moon stand still in their habitation, at the light of your arrows as they go, at the shining of your glittering spear. You marchest through the earth in indignation. You threshest the nations in anger. You art come forth for the deliverance of your people, for the deliverance of your anointed. You woundest the head out of the house of the wicked, uncovering the foundation even unto the neck. Selah. You have stricken through with his own rods the head of his rulers, that come as a whirlwind to scatter me, whose rejoicing is as to devour the poor secretly. You have trodden the sea with your horses, the foaming of mighty waters. When I heard, my inward parts trembled, my lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entereth into my bones, and I tremble where I stand, that I should wait for the day of trouble, when he cometh up against the people that he invades. For though the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines, the labor of the olive shall fail, and the field shall yield no food. The flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herd in the stalls. Yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will exult in the God of my salvation. God, the Lord is my strength, and he maketh my feet like hinds' feet, and he maketh me to walk upon my high places for the leader with my string music. Let's go back up to verse 1. Now yesterday, or in the last chapter, Habakkuk the prophet is declaring now, he is standing in his watch, and he is declaring what he sees. He has wrote it down, he has made it simple upon tablets where a man could read, and flee now from this idolatry, even making it known clearly. God is trying to, through similitude, make this known. We're going to finish up the book of Habakkuk, this one who has embraced the truth, embraced the understanding of God. And we're going to end with a prayer. And this is really not so much of a prayer, but an intercession. It's an intercession that he is making, Habakkuk is making, between God and those that are doubtful, and he's making it upon Shigionoth, and Shigionoth means doubtful, and it comes from its root word is shagah, and that means to be in error, of God, and this is, or to go astray. Those that have gone astray, those that are in error, those that are doubtful in the understanding of God. God's going to make known now his great plan, because he's going to drive away doubt, and he's going to leave no doubt in the end. And we will find that's what this book's been about, trying to wake you up in the end time so that you could see now and understand that God has done this. God had covered the people with the lack of understanding, and like a veil he had pulled over their eyes. Now he will wake them up as well in the end time. And when they wake up, they are going to see that they have been greatly deceived by idolatry. Verse 2. O Lord, I have heard the report of you, and am afraid, O Lord. Revive your work in the midst of the years. In the midst of the years make it known, and in wrath remember compassion. And that's what God's done now. And Habakkuk heard the message then. We hear the message today. And God has revived his work in the midst of the years. And in the midst of years, he's now made it known. Now, we should make an intercession as Habakkuk is. And we should ask for compassion now in the wrath of God. That he open the eyes and change the heart now of the people. For the people are evil now and do sin before the Lord. 3. God comes from Teman, and the Holy One from Mount Paran. Selah. His glory covereth the heavens, and the earth is full of his praise. And Teman is another word for the south. And the south is to put everything to your right, or the work. And God does come up out of his work. And we're going to see that Paran is this place of caves. It was a hiding place in the day of terror. And so God comes now out of his work and from his hiding place, and he has come up for one purpose and one purpose only now. His glory covers the heavens, and the earth is full of his praise. Why? Because God's pouring his word out. His understanding's going before him, and the understanding of God is the law. 4. And a brightness appears as the light rays hath he at his side, and there is the hiding of his power. And this power, and this light was the law in the beginning, and always has been the law. And this is the power and the strength of God. It is at his side, and all of his strength and power now is hid in the law. Why? When you obey the law, goodness goes forth into the earth, for you do keep it for your own good. And when you disobey it, now the curses do come forth into the earth, as we see today. There's no hiding it. No one can deny these things. 5. Before him goeth the pestilence, and fiery bolts go forth at his feet, and these fiery bolts are the judgments of God. This is the place of his treading in the judgments of his feet. These pestilence, this is destructive disease going into the earth. And this destructive disease is idolatry, the fabrication of men, which brings sin into the earth. 6. He stands and he shakes the earth. He beholds and makes the nations to tremble. And the everlasting mountains are dashed into pieces. And the ancient hills do bow. His goings are as of old. Because this is the strength and the power of God. He stands and he shakes the earth in its ignorance. He shakes it in his fury. He makes the nations to tremble now in his understanding, because it's his law that he put down here. It's his law that he gave, that you have spit at, mocked at, made a mockery of, imputed to. And these everlasting mountains are dashed into pieces. Now, these everlasting mountains are these high places, these places that were exalted, these places that men have left up. They're dashed into pieces, and they crumble before the Lord. The ancient hills do bow. Why? Even these ancient understandings, these understandings of old, bow down to God who gave the law. This is what it's been about from, if we go back to Deuteronomy. It's not where the Lord did come from. See, is out of power and strength, out of this affliction that he brought upon man. 7. I see the tents of Cushan in affliction. The curtains of the land of Midian do tremble. And Cushan is they use it, they call it the Ethiopians elsewhere in the book. See, but here it's Cush, And Cush means to be darkened. The tents of the darkened ones. And these tents of the darkened ones are those that are up there running their mouth. See, they do darken the counsel now of God. And these curtains of the land of Midian are those ones who have caused contention or strife. They have caused trouble. The Midians are the idol makers, and they do love to do so, and they do love to set up all these worship places, and they do like all the great ceremonies. This is the contention now, for they have cause now, and the people do go astray. But these curtains, those curtains represent this places where they're hiding behind these curtains so they don't make themselves known. 8. Is it, O Lord, that against the rivers? Is it that your anger is kindled against the rivers, or your wrath against the sea, that you dost ride upon your horses, upon your chariots of victory? These rivers, these understandings that go onto the earth, is God's wrath now against these rivers, all these understandings of men? We're going to find out. See, the Lord did cleave the earth with these rivers. He smashed it, and the waters poured out onto the earth. What? These waters of wrath? Your wrath is against the sea, the multitudes, even the multitude of its understanding. You do ride upon your horses. You do ride upon your strength and your chariots of victory. These chariots of victory are the laws of God. And in the end, God has all victory with the law. And this was his plan from the beginning. These are the strengths of God in which he does ride. 9. Your bow is made quite bare. Sworn are the rod of the word. Selah. You dost cleave the earth with rivers. This bow is made bare. This bow is the strength of God bending, see. Now bending to compensate for man and his sin. This is what the law was given to you for, was to help compensate for your sin, because your hearts are sinful before the Lord constantly. Constantly. Sworn are the rods of your word, and these rods of the word of God's law. Now he's told you, obey and be blessed, disobey and be cursed. Selah. Selah means to pause. It's what it is. It's a direction that's given in a song. And what it means is to pause. And we pause. You dost cleave the earth with rivers, because that's what God's done. He has cleaved, he has broken the earth into these rivers of pollution even, these rivers of misunderstanding. God has caused this, and all the earth we're going to see is going to have a flood come upon it. And this flood of the end time is this wickedness that cometh upon the earth, even idolatry. For this is the root of all of it. 10. The mountains have seen you, and they tremble. The tempest of waters floweth over. The deep uttereth its voice, and lifteth up its hands on high. And these mountains, once again, these ones that have exalted themselves, these ones that have set themselves up there in some kind of high place, that think they can make their nest on high to escape evil, God's going to bring you down, see. There's nowhere you can hide from God. They tremble because the waters do overflow. When God's truth comes in the end, see, he exposes now your wickedness. 11. The sun and the moon stand still in their habitation. At the light of thine arrows as they go, as the shining of your glittering spear. This greater light he give to rule the day, this lesser light to rule the night. They stand still. Why? Because from the light of God's truth going forth. It is the shining, the glittering spear he has cast. And its light cannot be compared to. It's the understanding now. 12, you marchest through the earth in indignation. You threshest the nations in anger. And that's what God's doing right now. In his indignation, in his judgment, does he thresh the nations in anger for your idolatry. See, and this is the marvelous work God's done. 13, you art come forth for the deliverance of your people, for the deliverance of your anointed. You woundest the head out of the house of the wicked, uncovering the foundation even unto the neck. Selah. This was the purpose of God. He's come to redeem his servant now. Once again, just like it says, he gives the word back to his people, to his anointed. Gives it back. Strength, power is given back. Deliverance has now come from God. The purpose is made known. He has wounded the head out of the house of the wicked. He even uncovered the foundation of it. 14. You have stricken through with his own rods the head of his rulers, that come as a whirlwind to scatter me, whose rejoicing is to devour the poor secretly. Stricken through with his own rods, with his own understanding, his rulers. How will they stand now? How have the mighty fallen? They come forth to scatter me like a whirlwind. They come forth seeking my soul. They hunted me down, tried to kill me and even slay me and deliver me into the fire. But God redeemed his servant. God showed his servant the truth. And I see them there, and the wickedness they do. Shall not jerk their skirt over their head in a moment and expose their nakedness? You have trodden the sea with your horses and the foaming of mighty waters. 15. And this is what he's done. The sea, all the people in this, how their waters are gathered together. God has trodden you with his strength, with his power and his might as he trodden you underfoot. And that's the foaming of mighty waters. And this foaming is the filth being delivered up out of it. The filth comes to the top, and the scum and the foam is made known and seen. 16. When I heard, my inward parts trembled, and my lips quivered at the voice. Rottenness entered into my bones, and I tremble where I stand, that I should wait for the day of trouble when he comes up against the people that he invades, even these ones he's established for this purpose. For this purpose of correction, for this purpose of judgment. This is what God's done. This was the work of God. And when I heard, my inward parts did tremble. 17. For though the fig tree shall not blossom, neither shall fruit be in the vines, and the labor of the olive shall fail, the field shall yield no food, the flock shall be cut off from the fold, and there shall be no herds in the stalls. This fig tree, this fruit that was acceptable, this fruit that is a similitude of that which is acceptable, shall not blossom. Neither shall the fruit be in the vines. God has taken away the harvest. The labor of the olive shall fail. This olive represents that which comes from understanding even these laws of God. For even the law of God is failed today. The people forgot it and throwed it down as if it has no regard. They've gone in there when they did violate. As the book says, they imputed. The field shall yield no food. The harvest is taken away. The flock is cut off from the fold. And there shall be no herd in the stalls. There's none there to be fattened for the king. Cut off. And that's what God's going to do. He's going to cut off now the flock in the end. 18, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will exalt in the God of my salvation. Because God is my salvation, and salvation does come from God Almighty and from none other, and it comes from the obedience to the law. This is your understanding, your wisdom, your knowledge. This is your salvation, to be obedient to the law of God, to understand God make an example out of those who are not. 19, God, the Lord is my strength, and he makes my feet like hinds' feet, and he makes me to walk upon my high places. It's for the leader with my string music. And it's like a little song that's wrote. We can kind of picture Habakkuk sitting there stringing on his little musical instrument and playing this song now for the leader, even this one who comes forth to expose, and it's God who's come forth to expose, to make known through his word the truth. See, our obedience to God, we become like these hinds' feet. He says he makes my feet like hinds' feet. These feet of the billy goat, how he goes upon the side of the mountains and these jagged places and these rocks like it's nothing. And he'll stand on the little tip of the rock as it overhangs the ledge like it's nothing, and stand there with his 4 feet on one little stone. There's no fear. When you have deliverance from God, you understand these things, and you are lifted up slightly out of this world, and your feet no longer touch these places that men have made. For these are their places they exalted, which God is going to bring low, destruction in the end. They're on every corner. He ain't going to escape. There's no place to hide from God. We are going to move on, though. We are going to go to the book of Micah, and hope to see you there.